Hey there 2000 AD, ABC Warriors, and probably 3A fans. This is Wesatron. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Action Portable ABC Warriors Mongrol and the Mess action figure. This is by 3A Toys, and it just came out in 2013, so these are starting to show up at people's doorsteps. Basically, the way things work at 3A is that you pre-order an item before it's actually produced, and then they make them to order and start shipping them out. This guy actually... He was pre-ordered a long time ago. I will check my order history and see exactly when, but we've been waiting a long time for him to show up. I think there was some production issues or something, but he's just starting to hit, and this is the style packaging that 3A normally goes with, which is like non-window boxes. It's usually like sealed up and everything, so you can't really see much from the outside. Nice kind of stylized shot of the toy here. The big star symbol here. Up here it says 1 of 7, so hopefully they do get to some of the other ABC Warriors because they do look really awesome. And hopefully they get to them in portable scale so I can afford them. Down here we got the name, Mongrol and the Mess. We've got the exact same stuff on the back side. On top you've just got the emblem again. Here on the sides, 2000 AD, Action Portable, 3A 2000 AD, ABC Warriors, and all that junk. On the bottom, there is just a little bit of note saying that this is not a toy, so don't break it. And that's pretty much it. The box just does open from the top. As you can see there, the corner came a little bent. Yeah, simple no window box and a plastic tray inside. Let's get the figure out and see what he's like. So here we have Mongrol and the Mess out of packaging. And I've got him in just sort of a big kind of snarling, angry pose here. And it actually looks much better from the top, but... kind of limited on how much space I have here. This guy is pretty big. One of the larger figures I own, width-wise, maybe the largest, at least in this scale. The Action Portable scale in general is about 6 inches tall. So, you know, it's 1/12, I guess I should say. Shouldn't really mark it down to 6 inches, but it is 1/12. So figures who are 6 foot tall should appear to be about 6 inches tall. So right here, just so you get an idea, that's a 6-inch Marvel Legends figure next to this guy. This is a big figure. This is absolutely huge. So this guy looks pretty much outstanding. Just really, really incredible, head to toe. Absolutely amazing. Just such a great design. Paint-wise, color-wise, and everything, that's like the big draw for 3A figures. I mean, design, of course, is really awesome, but they make their figures look really good and weathered, and this guy definitely has it. My only complaint about that is that he's so weathered that the red of his chassis, head, parts of the arms, comes off as a very pinkish type color. Definitely not a solid red. It's sort of a mix between peach and pink. Almost like a salmon type color. I really wish he'd come in a darker red tone, but I mean, it doesn't really hurt how imposing he looks because he's still a massive, massive figure. So let's go a little closer and look at some of these details. So we'll start off with the face here, and you can see they did a great job at kind of creating this massive-looking robot, but then you know, almost like a cartoon-style robot, but going in and giving him such a great paint job that he looks like something just old and rusty and weather-beaten. Very, very, very cool. Nice copper accents. Well, sort of copper, almost like a silver or just flat metal, like unpainted metal that's just been like worn down over time. Very, very cool. The inside of the mouth is actually that clicks open. Actually, like textured. It's got like almost like a vent-like interior there. Very, very cool. Very nice. The chain here, surprisingly, as good as this looks, this is actually plastic. Like, this is not metal. You can feel it in your hands. It's very light, and they just painted it with that great rust look to it. I mean, hopefully that's a focus. That's not bad. But very, very nice. Awesome work there. Bolts, like big nipple bolts shooting out there. Very cool. Great rust just all over the place. You can see how amazing this is. One thing I really like is these like power conduit pipes coming out of the shoulder. They go all the way down to the wrist here, and this is a very like flexible plastic, but they painted it in such a way that it looks like it's just old and deteriorating. Very cool. Nice like a heat shielding here in the arm. You see maybe there was a little something that used to be there, or it might just be worn down like paint wise. Very, very cool. Big meaty mitts. Very awesome. Huge thick fingers. I mean, this is my thumb next to his index finger. It's huge. Back is fairly plain overall. There's just this big panel here that doesn't open or anything, but one thing I think is really cool is the open spots here on the back of the shoulders. And it's just like a cut open exposed part of wiring, but they went in and painted like each individual wire, which is I think that's such a neat little look there, a little kind of thing they didn't have to do, but the extra attention to detail really helps sell the design of the figure. More like shocks, springs type things over here, which you can line those up if you want them to be, absolutely perfect, but I'm not real concerned about that. Different colored joints, so it looks like something that's been worn and pieced together. What's neat is inside the joints, even where it can move, they even painted rust in there. So very, very awesome stuff. Different colored legs. They didn't go with the red or yellow there. They went with that same kind of flat metal look. And this is really interesting. Down here, the leg armor is on individual floating pieces. So each one of those can move kind of on their own, which I think is really, really cool. And I think might even help a little bit with the articulation in the knees and stuff to help it all line up just right. So very, very cool stuff. If you look very closely, it was a lot more pronounced, I think, on the protos. This does say ABC, and there's a star here on his, kind of a little too low for the belly, but we won't get into that. But it does look a little bit, maybe it's just because there's so much black on this area, or like oil, whatever you want to call it. It looks, you almost can't even see it, but that does say ABC there, so, neat. Bottom of the feet are textured and everything. They got these nice lines. There are tiny screw holes all over here, also in the legs and in parts of the arm, you'll see. So if screws bother you, that may be an issue, but honestly, with the robot aesthetic, it fits in pretty well. So I think that's pretty cool. So articulation-wise, this guy is absolutely outstanding. He's got, as you saw, the hinge jaw, which you have to watch out because right here, if you open that up, you see there's kind of like this flat spot where paint's been rubbed off. There's this little, almost like a fang that hangs down on either side. See that there? When you try to close it, that will butt up against the jaw, so you kind of have to squeeze just a tad to get it to close all the way. Big ball-jointed neck, gives a huge range of motion. Not very much down, but you can kind of fudge that with the hips. But very, very good up, left, right. Of course, you can turn it in different ways and everything. The hinged jaw opens with a click motion, with a click action, I guess I should say, and it opens up huge, like almost like a garbage can, just absolutely enormous. Very, very cool. And that does click, ratchet back into place. So it's only connected by this small joint down here, so I'm a little nervous moving it, but it doesn't feel too much like it's going to break. Double ball joints in the shoulders, so there's a ball here and a ball here. This is ball and socket joints. So you get a nice range of motion there, and where one ball will stop to move, the other can kind of finish the circuit. So like you see that, like it moves back that far, and then the other ball will allow it to move that far. So you move forward, and the other ball will allow it to move a little bit more forward. So, they go up to about here on the sides. Not a lot, but you also have these great swivels in the shoulders that'll help with that. But you can curl in on themselves and, of course, spin all the way around without any problems. Swivels in the biceps, I guess if you want to call them that, right here. And they do get full rotation, but because of the attachment of the pipes here that go to the forearms, if you turn them too much, they will tear out. So be careful with that. Not that you need to, turn them more than that anyway. The elbows, big, meaty rotation joint here. And as you can see, when it's fully closed up, the two pieces of metal actually meet, which I think is kind of cool. It's almost 90 degrees, almost, not absolutely perfect, but very, very close. And extends all the way down, and looks very cool. Dig that. We've got double ball joints, just like the shoulders and the wrists, which allow a lot of movement. You can get great movement out of the wrists. Very, very cool, very expressive, and they, of course, rotate there, too. One neat thing that ThreeA tends to do is hyper jointed hands, and they definitely do that here. We've got a ball joint at the base of all the fingers and the thumb, and then we've got 3 joints in each of these digits. So the first point will bend about 90 degrees, actually leaving a little bit more, and the second point will do the same. So you can curl these fingers in however you want, have them hold things, whatever you want to do, point. You can do like I did, where I just kind of had them like sort of that type of deal, very grasping or angry. So very, very cool. Great job on the hands. The upper torso here, it almost looks like a ball joint design, but all I've been able to get is just the tiniest bit of rotation out of it. It seems like it's stuck on something, I guess. I don't know. It almost feels like it wants to move up and down, but it's not moving on mine. So I guess that's just a slight twisting joint there. Swivel down here at the waist, you can't even see it really, but once you kind of get playing with it, you can realize that that does actually move. We have ball joints in the hip, a little limited. They go in very far, but they only go out about that far. It's the same problem they had with the portable drop cloths, if I remember right, where they don't want to go out very far. But they do have inward and outward rotation, which is good because there's no thigh cut here. So as big as this guy is, he needs good solid articulation down in the legs, so I really wish they had gone with a thigh cut here, but they decided not to for whatever reason, or even in the knees would have helped, but mine don't turn there at least. I've tried. Oh, that part just fell off. That's okay. That's actually glued on. I noticed earlier that was a little loose, so I can fix that. So we've got ball joints there. They do go forward about that far, back about that far. Not really hindered too much because of the angle of the joint. You could probably spin that all the way around if you wanted to, but I want to be careful with it. As the box said, these are not toys. They will break. So about 90 degrees in the knee area, very cool. And giant ball joints here in the feet, very awesome. And lastly, we have hinge joint in the toes. Go forward about that far, and they actually do go backwards a little bit if you need that. I'm not sure why you would, but you have the option. So very nice articulation there. The big feet really do help with stabilizing the guy. You can kind of fudge a lot of positions because his feet are so big, and then to get him to stand flat, you just kind of have to press down on him, and his feet will just sort of automatically go flat on their own, which I think is very cool. So yeah, this is the armor piece that popped off, and like I said, it fits on right there, and all I have to do is slide it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's kind of off camera. Fits on right there. All I have to do is kind of slide it back on, and then just glue it. Like I said, the back part I had noticed was already coming off, but that's an easy fix. The only accessory that this guy really comes with, as I said, this is Mongrol and the Mess, so he comes with the Mess. And I'm not super familiar with the 2000 AD outside of Judge Dredd. I've got like a few of the early books of his, but this is a jar. There's a connection point here and here on his shoulders, and you'll see that there's like a little tab. Hopefully you can see that little tab right there. And that can click into place on either side. And you kind of have to wiggle it because it is a tight fit. And it just sort of hangs out there. It looks kind of cool, gives them a little asymmetrical vibe, which I dig. But then the top of the jar does twist off, and there's a little guy in there, but you can't really get him out without, I don't think, without breaking it. But you can see there is like a little face on there. So whatever the mess is, he's in the jar. And it's pretty cool. So this guy I paid, like I said, I think I said already, $65 for, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm not mistaken, that also included shipping, which normally ends up being about $10 to $15. And with a big figure like this, was definitely all of $15. So really, I got him closer to $50. But the actual price to get this guy was $65. For $65, for a figure of this scale, this is a very large figure, as you can see. I mean, absolutely enormous. And he's got such a huge footprint. Great articulation, amazing paintwork. $65 is kind of a steal. I mean, the birdies back in the day, like the cheaper birdies, were going for about $40 to $45, and this guy is maybe a little bit shorter than them, but probably twice as much plastic as went into them, or vinyl, to create them. So a pretty amazing deal. I sincerely hope they do the other ABC Warriors in this scale, because if they can keep it around that $65 to $75, maybe $80 mark, they will be great action figures to have all 7 of. So very, very cool. Very glad to have it. They did wait a long time to get these, and a lot of people were reporting canceling their pre-orders because the time was taking too long. So this may be a hard one to get a hold of. It's too hard to say at this point, but I would say if you are planning to get this guy, get on eBay if you don't already have the pre-order, of course. Get on eBay, get on there soon, because I do feel like prices will skyrocket on this guy pretty quick. The more they get open, the more reviews that get done, the more pictures that are taken, more people are going to want this, and there's new 3A fans every single day. So definitely grab this guy quick if you can. I would say for as much toy as you get here, you could probably pay $90 to $95 and still feel pretty happy with your purchase. I mean, obviously 65 is the better deal, but you know, this is a lot of toy for 65 bucks. So yeah, about 90 bucks would probably be your high-end type of stuff. One thing real quick before we go, I didn't talk about the chain that we were talking about earlier. This does actually come loose in the package, and the links are individual and have just a little like break in the top there, and they can kind of pull apart just a tad, and that's how you get it into that loop. So not a big deal, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. So yeah, 65 bucks for this guy. Amazing, absolutely awesome. Hips could have used a little work. This part could have stayed on, but like I said, that's an easy fix, and I was probably handling it too hard anyway. Yeah, great deal. If you guys have any questions or comments, please throw them in the box below. I'd be glad to answer them for you. And if there's anything I glossed over, please don't hesitate to ask. I would love to answer your questions and talk about toys. If you have any insights you want to share about the character, I would like to hear those too. Like I said, I've never read any ABC Warriors, so that would be really cool to know. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you stopping by, and I will talk to you later. Bye.